In October 1492, after weeks of fear, false hope, and open tension at sea, Christopher Columbus finally saw land. But this is not just the story people usually hear. It is not only the story of a bold sailor crossing an unknown ocean. It is also the story of a man who thought he had reached Asia, when he had not. A story of promises made to kings, misunderstandings on a beach, a shipwreck on Christmas, and the opening of a chapter that would change the fate of entire continents. Because when Columbus arrived in the Caribbean in 1492, he did not know he was stepping into history as one of its most famous explorers, and one of its most controversial. Columbus had not set out to discover a new world. He was looking for an old one. Like many ambitious men of his age, he wanted a western sea route to the riches of Asia: gold, spices, silk, and the trading cities of the East. Portugal had already built strength by sailing around Africa. Columbus believed Spain could beat them by sailing west across the Atlantic. His idea was not rejected because people thought the world was flat. That is one of the biggest myths about the story. Educated Europeans already knew the Earth was round. The real problem was that Columbus badly underestimated its size. He thought Asia was much closer than it really was. In other words, his voyage was not based on some brilliant secret knowledge. It was based in part on a huge geographical mistake. And yet, that mistake changed the world. Backed by Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain, Columbus left in August 1492 with 3 ships: the Niña, the Pinta, and the Santa María. Their names are famous now, but at the time this was a risky expedition into uncertainty. As the days passed and no land appeared, nerves frayed. Imagine it: endless water, creaking wood, supplies running down, and a captain insisting they were close. Sailors watched birds, floating branches, and shifting currents for signs of land. Every clue became a reason to hope. On October 11th, the night before landfall, Columbus claimed he saw a distant light moving in the darkness, like a little candle rising and falling. It was brief, uncertain, almost ghost-like. Maybe it was real, maybe it was not. But by dawn, the argument ended. Land. On October 12th, 1492, Columbus went ashore on an island in the Bahamas, known to its indigenous inhabitants as Guanahani. He renamed it San Salvador. And in that moment, 2 worlds met, though not as equals, and not with the same understanding of what was happening. Columbus believed he had reached islands near Asia. That is why he called the people he met Indians, a name born from error that lasted for centuries. The people he encountered were not waiting to be discovered. They already had homes, communities, trade networks, beliefs, and their own names for the world around them. That first meeting is often painted in simple colors: curiosity, gifts, wonder. But even early on, darker intentions were there. Columbus quickly began assessing the land and the people in terms of value. Where was the gold? Who could guide him? What could be claimed for Spain? That shift matters. It tells us this was never just an innocent voyage of exploration. It was also an expedition of possession. Still convinced he was in the edges of Asia, Columbus moved on through the Caribbean, reaching Cuba and then Hispaniola. On Christmas Day, 1492, the Santa María, Columbus's largest ship, ran aground off Hispaniola. It was a disaster, but Columbus turned it into an opportunity. Using timber from the wreck, his men built a tiny settlement called La Navidad, and he left 39 men behind when he sailed back to Spain. Think about that. The first European settlement of Columbus's voyage was born from a shipwreck. A broken vessel became a foothold of empire. When Columbus returned on his next voyage, La Navidad had been destroyed and the men were dead. It was an early sign that this story would not be one of smooth conquest or heroic triumph, but of violence, confusion, resistance, and collapse. Back in Spain, though, Columbus was greeted as a man of enormous importance. He had crossed the Atlantic and returned alive with astonishing news. Whether he truly understood what he had found is another matter. Incredibly, Columbus never fully accepted that he had reached a continent unknown to Europeans. He remained convinced he had reached the outer parts of Asia. So one of history's most famous discoverers died without fully grasping what he had done, but the consequences came anyway. His first voyage opened the door to repeated expeditions: conquest, colonization, enslavement, and epidemic disease. For Europe, it was the beginning of a vast new age of expansion. For many indigenous peoples of the Americas and Caribbean, it marked the beginning of catastrophe. That is why 1492 still matters, not because one man heroically found an empty world, but because one voyage, driven by ambition, error, faith, greed and luck, collided with worlds already alive and changed them forever. Columbus did not simply arrive in the New World. He helped create a new world order, and its shadow is still with us now.